Now I will tell you about the day that changed everything. The day an old man discovered a truth so devastating, he abandoned the entire empire and disappeared into the mountains forever. Ancient China, 6th century BCE. A man sits alone in the Imperial Archives. His name, Li Er. History will call him Lao Tzu. His job, Keeper of the Royal Archives, custodian of every secret, every record, every hidden truth of the Chinese Empire. He has access to everything: military strategies, diplomatic secrets, royal scandals, economic records, historical documents spanning centuries, every rise, every fall, every emperor, every dynasty. And for decades he reads, day after day, year after year, scroll after scroll, watching patterns emerge, patterns nobody else sees. And one day something breaks. Not a single shocking document, but the accumulation of all of it. The pattern beneath the patterns. And he realizes everything he's been part of, the empire, the government, civilization itself, is a lie. Not evil, not corrupt, just pointless. A beautiful, elaborate mechanism that creates more suffering than it solves. And he can't unsee it. So he does something shocking. He quits. Walks away from power, status, security, everything. Climbs on a water buffalo and rides toward the western border, leaving the empire forever. Guards at Hangu Pass stop him. You can't just leave. Write down what you know. So he sits for 3 days, writes 5,000 characters, the Tao Te Ching, then disappears into the mountains. Nobody ever sees him again. For 2,600 years, people have asked, what did he find in those archives? Let me show you. Pattern 1. Every empire does the same thing and gets the same result. Here's what Lao Tzu noticed. Every new dynasty starts identically. A visionary leader. We'll be different. We'll fix the corruption. Justice, prosperity, peace. First, 20 to 30 years. Golden age. Things work. Next 30 to 50 years. Cracks appear. Corruption seeps in. Complexity increases. Next 50 to 100 years, full decay, oppression, rebellion, collapse. Then, a new dynasty rises, same promises. We'll be different. They never are. Same cycle, every single time. And Lao Tzu realized, it's not bad emperors. The system itself is the problem, because every system of control, no matter how well-intentioned, eventually creates the opposite of what it promises. You create laws to prevent crime. Crime increases. You build military to ensure peace. Wars multiply. You centralize power for order. Chaos spreads. Why? Because control creates resistance. The more you control, the more resistance you generate. And eventually, resistance wins. Every time. Pattern 2. The more complex the system, the faster it collapses. Second pattern. Simple systems last. Complex systems fail. Example: early dynasties, simple governance, minimal laws, local autonomy. Result: stable for generations. Later dynasties, complex bureaucracy, endless regulations, centralized micromanagement. Result: collapse within decades. Why? Complexity is fragile. Every new law creates unintended consequences. Every regulation requires enforcement. Every enforcement needs more bureaucrats. Every bureaucrat needs to justify existence. So they create more laws, more regulations, more complexity, until the system collapses under its own weight. Lao Tzu saw this repeatedly, and he realized, the more laws and restrictions there are, the poorer people become. Not because laws are evil, because complexity itself is destructive. Sai, fire, oh, hi. Pattern 3. The leaders who try hardest cause the most damage. Third devastating pattern. The most ambitious emperors caused the most suffering. The ones who wanted to fix everything. Grand visions, worked tirelessly, genuinely cared. They created the most destruction. Why? Their ambition drove them to force changes society wasn't ready for. They'd see a problem. I'll solve this. Create policies. Mobilize resources. Force compliance. Short-term, progress. Long-term, unintended consequences. Resistance. Suffering. Meanwhile, lazy emperors, who mostly left people alone, their reigns were peaceful. Lao Tzu's shocking conclusion. The best leaders are those the people hardly know exist. Not because good leaders are invisible, but because the best leadership is minimal interference. Let people live. They'll figure it out. The more you try to help, the more you harm. Pattern 4. Knowledge creates problems. Fourth pattern. This one broke him. The more knowledge a society accumulates, the more it suffers. Societies that valued scholarship, education, expertise, they became more anxious, conflicted, disconnected from natural living. Why? Knowledge creates distinctions, good/bad, right/wrong, smart/stupid, and distinctions create judgment, and judgment creates suffering. Example: simple farmer, doesn't know optimization, productivity, nutritional science. Just plant, water, harvest, eat, sleep. Happy? Often yes, modern person, knows everything. Optimal sleep, productivity systems, nutritional macros. Happy? Usually no, because the more you know, the more you worry you're doing it wrong. Lao Tzu wrote, "In pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In pursuit of the Tao, every day something is dropped." He saw, civilization is infinite addition. More knowledge, more complexity, more problems, and it never stops. Pattern 5. Civilization itself is the disease, the devastating final pattern. Civilization doesn't solve problems, it creates them. Before civilization, humans lived in small groups, hunted, gathered, lived naturally. Problems, weather, predators, occasional scarcity, but no war, no oppression, no existential anxiety. After civilization, massive cities, complex hierarchies, law, government, empire, problems multiplied by thousands, war, slavery, oppression, poverty, crime, corruption, meaninglessness, alienation, and every solution creates more problems. Build cities, overcrowding, disease, crime, create laws, prisons, police state, rebellion. Develop economy, inequality, exploitation, greed. It never ends. And Lao Tzu realized, the problem isn't that we haven't found the right system yet. The problem is that large-scale organized systems are inherently problematic. They all eventually create suffering, no matter the intention. The document that changed everything. Which specific document broke him? My theory. It was a census report. A simple census. Recording population, births, deaths, wealth distribution across the empire. Lao Tzu compared it to census reports from 100 years prior, 200 years, 500 years, and he saw. Despite all the emperor's efforts, reforms, campaigns, good intentions, people weren't better off. More laws didn't create order, more education didn't create wisdom, more wealth didn't create happiness, more control didn't create peace. In fact, the opposite. The harder civilization tried, the worse things got. And in that moment, Lao Tzu understood. He was part of a system that, despite everyone's best efforts, caused more harm than good, and he couldn't unsee it. The decision. He had 3 options. Option 1, stay and try to fix it. Become an advisor. I'll make it better. But he knew. That's what everyone thinks. It never works. The system itself is the problem. Option 2, stay and accept it. This is just how civilization is. I'll do my job, live comfortably. But he couldn't. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Option 3, leave, abandon everything, walk away, reject the entire system. This is what he chose, not as protest, but because. The only way to not be complicit in a fundamentally broken system is to leave it entirely. The Journey and the Book, an old man. Probably 60s or 70s, high-ranking official, respected, secure. One day he just stops showing up. Packs nothing, finds a water buffalo, climbs on, starts riding west. Days pass. He reaches Hanggu Pass, the western border, the last checkpoint before leaving Chinese civilization forever. Guard Yinshi recognizes him. You're leaving forever. You're taking all that knowledge with you. At least write something down. Lao Tzu hesitates, because writing it down might add to the problem. More knowledge, more complexity. But maybe someone will understand. Not as a system to follow, but as a pointer toward unlearning everything civilization taught them. So he sits, for 3 days, writes 5,000 characters, the Tao Te Ching, not a philosophy, a pattern recognition manual. Everything he saw in the archives, the patterns, the cycles, the inevitable outcomes, distilled into 81 short chapters. Key messages. Governing a large country is like frying a small fish. Don't overdo it. The more prohibitions you have, the less virtuous people will be. When the government is lazy, the people are honest. Translation: stop trying to control everything. It always backfires. Then he hands the manuscript to the guard, climbs back on his water buffalo, and rides into the mountains forever. What this means for you. You're not living in ancient China, but you're living in the same pattern. Your government promises solutions, creates more problems. Your job promises security, creates anxiety. Your education promises knowledge, creates confusion. Your technology promises connection, creates isolation. Same patterns Lao Tzu saw, 2,600 years later. And you have the same 3 options. Option 1, try to fix the system. Good luck. Thousands of years of smart people tried. Same result. Option 2, accept it and cope. Most people choose this. Comfortable slavery. Option 3, Lao Tzu's path. Option 3, Lao Tzu's path. Not physically leaving, you probably can, but mentally leaving. Stop believing the system's promises. Stop participating in its delusions. Stop adding complexity to your life. Simplify, minimize, let go. Not because you're lazy, because you've seen the pattern, and once seen, it cannot be unseen. Lao Tzu found the truth in those archives. The more civilization tries to solve problems, the more problems it creates. The only escape: stop playing the game. He walked away 2,600 years ago. Are you ready to do the same?